This one is specifically for our hardcore developers here. Designing sustained engagement. And before you get started, there's 3 questions that Amy Jo lays out that I think are very relevant. And the first one, you guys, I'm always talking about your core audience, your target audience. Who are you making games for? Well, that's exactly her first question. Who are your players?
Right there.
Who are they?
Yeah.
You know, to dig further, what's their social engagement style?
That is something to understand. FYI, next week, we're going to specifically talk about, I believe it's Bartle's player types.
Yes.
And we feel that this and that are going to tie in to really give you guys a heads in on how you should view your players.
Yeah.
Because once you understand the types of players that play your game, you can craft your game and hone your craft to really give them what they want.
Yes.
Which is the difference between a hobbyist game and a professional game. A professional game is going to utilize all the tools of understanding the players to deliver the best experience, while the hobbyist game is making a game that the developer just wants to make.
Sure. And so that is what one of the first things you want to answer is your core audience and what type of social engagement that they prefer. And if you need to read up on this stuff, social engagement styles, there's a link within the article that takes you to a matrix and doing a little bit of research.
That was really, really good. I do love her questions here. Are your players motivated by competition, collaboration, visible achievement, exploration, self-expression? All those are going to result in very different types of players with very different types of games. There's a reason why I don't play games like Hearthstone, Dota, League of Legends. Those don't interest me. It's not that I'm a noob who's going to get pwned because I suck. I just don't care about those type of games. They mean nothing to me. To beat someone else on a leaderboard, to me, it doesn't matter. However, I will get lost in a world of exploration until the sun comes up the next day, because to me, that's important.
So, yes, KB, absolutely correct. Yes. Know your audience. Wrath, yes. Wrath has noticed different play styles and habits while watching people stream their own games. Absolutely. So these are all things you want to keep in mind when you sit down to design your game. The next question that you should ask yourself is, what are your metrics for measuring your progress over time?
Yes.
How are you going to define it, measure it? How are you going to reward your players for playing through your game, learning the skills, mastering the skills to succeed?
Those progress metrics we were talking about earlier. What are the progress metrics?
Yeah.
And those can be things like trophies, material rewards like coins, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, give someone a new weapon or a new piece of armor. Give them a story tidbit. Advance their relationship with a character. It doesn't have to be a physical object.
The simplest metric for reward is leveling up.
Like Black Rose said, yes.
Think about it. Yeah, leveling up.
Level them up, yeah.
That is the most basic reward that you can give out to your player for progressing.
But you want to make sure that there is some progression. Even games that don't have leveling up, like a great one, Unfinished Swan.
Oh yeah, that
the
one.
Game where you're basically throwing ink around a white area to create the world. Unfinished Swan's progress over time metric is story advancement.
Yeah.
Usually done, I believe, by the female narrator. But you still have a metric. There's something to show you that you're getting further along. And that's something I think all of you have to do. You have to measure your progress over time. Measure your pot. Define your pot. # define your pot.
There you go. Yeah.
Know your pot. # know your pot.
Know your pot.
There you go.
And then the last certainly not least question you should ask yourself is, what are the happy habits? And let's talk about happy habits.
Right.
But what are they? What are you trying to get them to have to sustain their engagement?
Yeah.
During the whole onboarding, habit building, mastery process.
Yep.
Okay. So, happy habits.
Yeah.
Happy habits are, in short, these engagement loops that stimulate ongoing positive emotions.
Yeah.
Okay. It is, well, do perform, reward, perform, reward.
It's the dopamine release cycle titrated into a visual means.
Yeah.
You know, what are they going to get that's going to make them happy? All video games do this. The core loop of every video game is the player does something, the player receives a reward, that reward triggers a dopamine release. That is the basic psychology of game design. What is the happy habit that drives that? You know, I love this. I love that little question. What is the emotional payoff?
Yes.
Because we always talk about that setup and payoff.
That's right.
And if you, the developer, are creating a setup with a strong payoff and it's an emotional payoff that gives them that feeling and triggers that dopamine release, they're going to love your game that much more.
Yes. And that is the whole point, is get them to really love playing your game so that they play it through several times. Honestly, you know, we design games so that people have something fun to do, something fun to play.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A game developer creates games so that people will be happy.
You're spreading happiness out into the world. So yeah. Oh, and ERA was taken. Says level ups, new items, even more than that. Story advancement is how I like to reward players. Yes, story advancement is a reward. Absolutely.
Giving them more of the story. If you've hooked them with your story so that they want to see more of your story, then advancement of that story that they want to see is a reward.
Yes, it is.
100%. 100%. So really, following these three things,
you're going to have a much more successful player engagement, and your game will be that much more popular.